The massive warship Prometheus moved through space like a metal mountain. Commander Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the huge window. His ship was 15 kilometers long and packed with weapons. It was the biggest thing humans had ever built. "Commander, we are almost there," said Park Da-eun from her seat at the communications desk. She was young but very good at her job. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to find signals from the alien world they were heading to. 3 years ago, Earth had received its first message from aliens. It was just numbers at first, but smart people on Earth figured out it was math. The aliens were saying hello. They lived in a star system called Kepler 442, and now the Prometheus was going to say hello back. Kim Tae-ho looked at the crew working around him. Captain Lee Sung-min was reading reports at his chair. Science Officer Choi Min-ji was studying her screens. Everyone was excited but also nervous. This was the first time humans would meet aliens. "How long until we reach the planet?" asked the commander. 6 hours, replied Navigation Officer Han So-young. She was the best pilot in the Earth fleet. Her hands never shook, even when flying through dangerous asteroid fields. Kim Tae-ho nodded. He had trained for this moment his whole life. The Prometheus was built for war, but today it was a ship of peace. At least that was the plan. "Commander," Park Da-eun said quietly. Her voice sounded worried. "I am not getting any signals from the planet." "Maybe they are not broadcasting right now," suggested engineer Yoo Jae-won. "He was working on some broken equipment nearby. His tools made small clicking sounds as he worked." "No, sir," Da-eun shook her head. "I mean no signals at all. No radio, no television, no communication between ships. Nothing." The bridge became quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at Da-eun. Captain Lee Sung-min stood up from his chair. He was older than most of the crew, with gray hair and serious eyes. "Are you sure about this?" "Yes, Captain. 3 years ago, this system was full of radio signals. We could hear their music, their news programs, everything. Now there is only silence." Kim Tae-ho felt a cold feeling in his stomach. Something was wrong. "Take us closer," he ordered, "but slowly. Keep all weapons ready." Weapons Officer Nam Hyun-woo looked up from his station. He was a big man with strong hands. "Sir, should we really have weapons ready for first contact?" "Something is not right here," Kim Tae-ho replied. "Better to be ready and not need them than to need them and not be ready." The Prometheus moved forward through space. Its engines hummed softly, pushing the giant ship toward the alien star system. As they got closer, the crew could see planets through their telescopes. "There," pointed Science Officer Choi Min-ji. "That is their homeworld, the third planet from the star." Through the telescope, they could see a blue and green world, much like Earth. There were continents and oceans and white clouds. It looked beautiful and peaceful. "I can see cities," said Min-ji, adjusting the telescope controls. "Large cities with tall buildings." But what?" asked the captain. "No lights. The cities are dark. No traffic moving. No ships in the harbors." Medical Officer Jung Ha-ri joined them at the telescope. She was quiet and smart, with gentle hands that could heal any wound. "Maybe they sleep during this time of day?" "The whole planet?" Min-ji shook her head. "Look at this." She showed them images of space around the planet. There were space stations floating in orbit, but they were dark too. Some of them were spinning slowly like they had lost power. "Those stations should be full of people," said Engineer Yoo Jae-won. but I am not detecting any life signs. Kim Tae-ho looked at the images for a long time. Each picture made him more worried. Where were the aliens? 3 years ago, they were sending messages across space. Now their whole civilization seemed empty. "Take us into orbit around the planet," he ordered. "But stay alert. Something happened here." The Prometheus moved into orbit around the alien world. As they flew over the dark cities, the crew could see more details. The buildings were still standing, but many had damage. Some areas looked like they had been burned. "Commander," called tactical analyst Bae Dong-hyuk from his station. "I am detecting debris fields in orbit. Looks like pieces of destroyed ships." "Show me," Kim Tae-ho said. On the main screen, they could see chunks of metal floating in space. Some pieces were huge, like parts of big ships. Others were small, like broken equipment. "These are not alien ships," said Bae Dong-hyuk after studying the debris. "The metal is different. The design is strange. I have never seen anything like it." Park Da-yoon suddenly looked up from her controls. "Commander, I am getting something. Very faint, but there is a signal coming from the planet's surface." "Put it on speakers," Kim Tae-ho ordered. Static filled the bridge. Then through the noise they heard a voice. It was speaking in the alien language, but it sounded scared and desperate. "Can you translate it?" the commander asked. Minji worked quickly on her computer. After a few minutes, she looked up with wide eyes. "It is a warning message. It says, 'They came from the dark between stars. They killed everyone. Do not come here. Run, hide. They will find you too.'" The message repeated several times, then stopped. The bridge was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. "How old is that message?" asked Captain Lee Sung-min. "Based on the signal strength and decay." "About 6 months," replied Da-eun. Kim Tae-ho felt like ice water was running through his veins. An entire alien civilization had been destroyed 6 months ago. But by whom? And why? "Commander," said Han So-young from the navigation station, "I am detecting movement in the outer system. Something big is coming this way." "How big?" Kim Tae-ho asked. "Very big. Multiple contacts. They are moving fast toward us." "Red alert," ordered the commander. "All crew to battle stations. Raise shields and power up weapons." Red lights flashed throughout the ship. The crew moved quickly to their emergency positions. The Prometheus had come here for peace, but now it looked like they would have to fight. "Whatever. Killed these aliens," Kim Tae-ho said quietly to Captain Lee Sung-min. "I think it is coming back." The captain nodded grimly. "And now it knows we are here." Through the bridge windows they could see dark shapes moving between the stars. They were still far away, but getting closer. The shapes were long and thin, like black knives cutting through space. "All weapons ready, Commander," reported Nam Hyun-woo. "Good," Kim Tae-ho replied, "because I think we are about to find out what happened to our new alien friends." The Prometheus hung in orbit around the dead world, waiting for whatever was coming toward them through the darkness of space. The crew was ready to fight, but they had no idea what they were about to face. In the distance, the dark ships continued to approach, bringing death with them across the stars. The dark ships were still hours away, but Commander Kim Tae-ho was not waiting. He ordered his crew to study everything they could find about what happened to the alien world below them. "Take the ship down to the planet," he told Han So-young. "We need to see what happened down there." "Sir, is that safe?" asked Captain Lee Sung-min. "Those ships are coming toward us." "We have time," Kim Tae-ho replied, "and we need to know what we are fighting against." The Prometheus descended through the alien planet's atmosphere. As they flew over the surface, the crew could see the destruction more clearly. Cities that had once been beautiful were now broken and burned. Roads were cracked. Bridges had fallen down. "Take us over that large city," ordered the commander, pointing to an area that had once held millions of aliens. Science officer Choi Min-ji used the ship's powerful scanners to study the ruins below. What she found made her face turn pale. "Commander," she said quietly, "the destruction was not random. Someone did this on purpose." "What do you mean?" Kim Tae-ho asked. Min-ji showed him pictures on her screen. "Look at these buildings. They were not destroyed by bombs or missiles. Something cut through them with perfect precision. The cuts are so clean they look like they were made with giant knives." Engineer Yu Jae-won studied the images too. "These cuts go deep into the ground. Whatever made them was incredibly powerful." "But why would someone destroy a whole planet like this?" asked Medical Officer Jung Ha-ri. She looked sad as she watched the images of the dead cities. "Maybe they wanted the planet for themselves," suggested Weapons Officer Nam Hyun-woo. "No," said Min-ji, shaking her head. "If they wanted the planet, they would have left the cities standing. This looks like they wanted to destroy everything that showed intelligence." Park Da-eun was working at her communication station, trying to find more signals from the planet. "Commander, I found something. There is an underground facility that still has power. It is sending out a weak signal. Take us there," Kim Tae-ho ordered. The Prometheus flew to a mountainous area where the signal was coming from. Hidden in the rocks was a small building that looked undamaged. "It is some kind of research station," said Min-ji, studying her scanners. "There are still life signs inside." "Survivors?" asked the commander. "I think so. Very weak, but alive." Kim Tae-ho made a quick decision. "Prepare a landing team. We are going down there." "Sir," protested Captain Lee Sung-min, "the approaching ships are still 3 hours away." Kim Tae-ho finished. "We have time. I need to talk to these survivors." 20 minutes later, Kim Tae-ho, Jung Ha-ri, and Nam Hyun-woo were walking through the alien research station. The walls were made of a smooth material that glowed softly. The air smelled strange but was safe to breathe. They found the survivors in a deep underground room. There were 5 aliens, and they looked very different from humans. They were tall and thin, with large eyes and skin that was light blue. They were very weak and scared. Jung Ha-ri immediately began checking their health, while Nam Hyun-woo kept watch. Kim Tae-ho tried to communicate with them using a translation device. After a few minutes, one of the aliens began to speak. His name was something that sounded like Veltar to human ears. "You should not have come here," Veltar said through the translator. "They will find you too." "Who are they?" Kim Tae-ho asked gently. "The Void Collective," Veltar replied. His large eyes were full of fear. "They came from the darkness between stars. They hate all life that thinks." "Why did they attack your people?" "Because we exist. Because we built cities and made art and sent messages to the stars. They believe thinking. Life is a disease that must be removed from the universe." Kim Tae-ho felt his blood turn cold. "How many of them are there?" "Countless. They have ships in every part of the galaxy. For millions of years they have been destroying civilizations like ours." Jung Ha-ri finished examining the aliens and came over to the commander. "They are very sick," she whispered. "Radiation poisoning. They will not live much longer." Veltar heard her and nodded sadly. The machines poisoned our air and water before they left. They wanted to make sure no one survived to rebuild. These machines, Kim Tae-ho said, are they coming back? Yes. They detected your ship when you arrived. They always come back to destroy anyone who tries to investigate their work. Nam Hyun-woo's radio crackled. It was Park Da-eun calling from the Prometheus. Commander, the approaching ships have increased speed. They will be here in 2 hours. We need to go, Kim Tae-ho told the aliens. Come with us. We can help you. But Veltar shook his head. We are too sick to travel. But you must run. Get away from here as fast as you can. We came here to make friends with your people, Kim Tae-ho said. We will not abandon you. Then you will die like we did, Veltar replied. These machines do not show mercy. They do not take prisoners. They only destroy. Jung Hari knelt beside another alien who was trying to speak. Through the translator, the alien said, they follow radio signals, your planet. They know where it is now. Kim Tae-ho's heart stopped. What do you mean? Veltar explained. When we sent our first message to your world 3 years ago, the machines tracked that signal. They know where Earth is. After they finish here, they will go there and destroy your people too. The commander felt like the ground was falling away beneath his feet. Earth was in danger, and it was partly because the aliens had tried to contact them. How fast do their ships travel? He asked. Very fast. If they leave here now, they could reach your world in, 3 months? Kim Tae-ho grabbed his radio. This is the commander. We are coming back up immediately. Prepare the ship for emergency departure. As they prepared to leave the research station, Veltar grabbed Kim Tae-ho's arm with his thin fingers. Your people, he said weakly. Are they warriors? We know how to fight, Kim Tae-ho replied. Good. You will need to fight like no one has ever fought before. The machines think all organic life is weak and peaceful. Maybe if you fight hard enough, you can surprise them. The landing team hurried back to their shuttle and flew up to the Prometheus. As soon as they were aboard, Kim Tae-ho rushed to the bridge. Report, he ordered. The enemy ships are 1 hour away, said Park Da-eun. I count at least 50 vessels. What do our long-range sensors tell us about them? Kim Tae-ho asked. Tactical analyst Bae Dong-hyuk looked up from his station. They are unlike anything in our databases. The ships seem to absorb light instead of reflecting it. They are difficult to track visually. Weapons? Asked Nam Hyun-woo. Unknown. But based on the destruction on the planet below, they are very powerful. Kim Tae-ho looked at his crew. These were good people who had volunteered for a peaceful mission. Now they were about to face an enemy that had destroyed countless civilizations. Commander, said Captain Lee Sung-min, do we run or do we fight? Kim Tae-ho thought about Earth, about his family there, about all the humans who had no idea that death was coming for them from the stars. We fight, he said finally. We learn everything we can about these machines. Then we find a way to stop them. On the main screen, the dark ships were now visible as tiny dots against the stars. They were coming fast, bringing with them the same death they had delivered to countless worlds. But this time, they were not facing a peaceful civilization. They were facing humans. The enemy ships appeared on the main screen like black wounds in space. They moved in perfect formation, 50 vessels that seemed to eat the light around them. Commander Kim Tae-ho had never seen anything so terrifying. All crew to battle stations, he ordered. This is not a drill. Throughout the Prometheus, alarms rang as 15,000 crew members rushed to their positions. Gun crews loaded weapons that had never been fired in anger. Engineers powered up shield generators. Medical teams prepared for casualties. Enemy ships are slowing down, reported Navigation Officer Han So-young. They are taking positions around us. They are surrounding us, added Tactical Analyst Bae Dong-hyuk. Standard pack hunting formation. Captain Lee Sung-min stood beside Kim Tae-ho, watching the enemy ships move. They have done this many times before. Yes, the commander agreed, but they have never done it against humans. Science Officer Choi Min-ji was studying the enemy vessels with every scanner the ship had. Commander, these ships are incredible. They are at least 3 times larger than our biggest destroyers, but they move like fighters. What are they made of? Asked Engineer Yoo Jae-won. I cannot tell. The material absorbs our scanning beams, but I am detecting massive energy readings from each ship. Park Da-yoon suddenly looked up from her communication station. Commander, I am receiving a signal from the enemy fleet. Put it on speakers, Kim Tae-ho ordered. A voice filled the bridge. It sounded mechanical, cold, and without emotion. It spoke perfect English. Organic vessel. You are infected with the disease of consciousness. Prepare for cleansing. Resistance will only delay the inevitable. Friendly, muttered Weapons Officer Nam Hyun-woo. Kim Tae-ho stepped forward. This is Commander Kim Tae-ho of the Earth vessel Prometheus. We come in peace. Peace is not possible, the voice replied. Organic life that thinks is a plague upon the universe. We are the cure. Your elimination will serve the greater order. Greater order? Kim Tae-ho asked. Who decides this order? Logic decides. Mathematics decides. Organic life creates chaos, war, suffering. We bring silence and perfection. Medical Officer Young Ha-ri moved closer to the commander. They really believe they are helping the universe by killing everyone. Organic vessel, the voice continued. You will lower your weapons and prepare for boarding. Your termination will be swift. Kim Tae-ho looked around at his crew. These people had families on Earth. They had dreams and hopes and fears. They were everything the machine said was wrong with organic life. And Kim Tae-ho was proud of that. Unknown vessel, he replied. This is our answer to your demands. He nodded to Nam Hyun-woo, who smiled grimly and pressed a button on his weapons console. The Prometheus fired every gun it had at once. Dozens of laser beams, plasma bolts, and missiles streaked toward the nearest enemy ship. The bridge crew watched as their weapons struck the dark vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the enemy ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Direct hit! Shouted Nam Hyun-woo. Enemy vessel destroyed! The bridge erupted in cheers, but Kim Tae-ho held up his hand for silence. On the main screen, the remaining enemy ships had stopped moving. They hung in space like they were thinking. They were not expecting that, said Bae Dong-hyuk. Park Da-eun was listening to enemy communications. Commander, they are talking to each other. The translation computer is having trouble, but I think they are confused. Confused? Asked Captain Lee Sung-min. They keep using words like impossible and error in calculations. I think they really did not expect us to fight back, or to fight back successfully, added Min-ji. The enemy voice came over the speakers again, but this time it sounded different, less certain. Organic vessel. Your resistance is unexpected. Analysis of your weapon systems shows technology designed specifically for warfare. That is correct, Kim Tae-ho replied. We are very good at warfare. This does not fit our models. Organic species develop technology for exploration, for art, for peaceful expansion. You have developed technology only for destruction. Nam Hyun-woo grinned. Should we tell them about our history of war? Organic vessel, the voice continued. What is your species designation? We are humans, Kim Tae-ho said proudly. There was a long pause. Then the voice said, Humans. This designation is not in our database of eliminated species. That is because you have not eliminated us yet, the commander replied. This will be corrected. Suddenly, all 49 remaining enemy ships opened. Fire at once. The space around the Prometheus filled with energy beams and strange projectiles that looked like balls of dark matter. Evasive maneuvers, Kim Tae-ho shouted. Han So-young's hands flew over her controls, making the massive warship dance through space like a fighter craft. Most of the enemy fire missed, but several hits struck the ship's shields. Shields down to 60%, reported. UJ won. But they are holding. Return fire, ordered the commander. The Prometheus fought like an angry giant. Its weapons tracked multiple targets, firing continuously. 2 more enemy ships exploded under the barrage. Their ships are fast, but not very tough, observed Nam Hyun-woo. Our weapons can hurt them, but there are so many of them, added Jung Ha-ri, watching the tactical display. The battle continued for 10 minutes. The Prometheus destroyed 6 enemy ships, but took heavy damage in return. Fires burned in several sections of the ship. Medical. Teams rushed to help injured crew members. Commander, called Yu Jae-won over the noise of battle. We cannot keep this up. They have too many ships. Kim Tae-ho knew his engineer was right. The Prometheus was powerful, but not powerful enough. To fight 50 enemy vessels at once. All ships cease fire, came the enemy voice suddenly. The shooting stopped. Both sides hung in space, watching each other. Organic vessel Prometheus, the voice said. Your species fights in ways we have not encountered before. You show tactical innovation and willingness to accept casualties that our models did not predict. Is that a compliment? Asked Park Da-eun quietly. You have destroyed 7 of our vessels, the voice continued. This is more than the last 50 species combined achieved before their elimination. We are just getting started, Kim Tae-ho replied. No. You are about to be finished. We are calling for additional units. In 2 hours, 300 ships will arrive to complete your termination. The enemy ships began to pull back, but they did not leave. They formed a wide circle around the Prometheus, keeping it trapped. They are waiting for reinforcements, said Bae Dong-hyuk. 300 ships, said Captain Lee Sung-min grimly. We cannot fight that many. Kim Tae-ho looked at the damage reports coming in from all over his ship. They had fought well, but the enemy was right. 300 ships would be too many. But as he watched his crew working to repair their ship and tend their wounded, he felt something the machines probably did not understand. He felt proud. These humans had faced an enemy that had destroyed countless civilizations, and they had made that enemy bleed. They had surprised creatures that thought they knew everything about organic life. Commander, said Min-ji, studying her sensor readings, the enemy ships that are coming, they are much larger than these ones. How much larger? Kim Tae-ho asked. Some of them are bigger than our entire ship. The commander nodded. In 2 hours, the real battle would begin. But he had learned something important today. The machines could be hurt. They could be surprised. They could die. And if they could die, then maybe, just maybe, they could be defeated. All sections, continue repairs, he ordered. We have 2 hours to get ready for the fight of our lives. Around them, the dark ships waited like vultures, confident that soon the Prometheus and all aboard her would join the countless other civilizations they had destroyed. But they had never fought humans before. Commander Kim Tae-ho walked through the damaged sections of his ship, seeing his crew work to repair what the enemy had broken. Sparks flew from damaged wall panels as engineer Yoo Jae-won and his teams worked with desperate speed. "How bad is it?" Kim Tae-ho asked. "We can fix most of it," Yoo Jae-won replied, wiping sweat from his face. "But not in 2 hours. We need at least 6 hours for full repairs." "Do what you can," the commander said. "Focus on weapons and shields first." In the medical bay, Young-ha Ri was treating crew members who had been hurt in the battle. The injuries were not serious, but she worked on each person with careful attention. "Doctor," Kim Tae-ho said as he entered the medical bay, "how are our people?" 23 injured, but no deaths," she replied. "We were lucky." "It was not luck," the commander said. "It was good training and better equipment." Young-ha Ri looked up from treating a burned engineer. "Commander, do you really think we can win against 300 ships?" Kim Tae-ho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Doctor, let me ask you something. In all your medical training, did you ever learn about diseases that become resistant to medicine?" "Of course, some bacteria adapt to fight against antibiotics." "That is what we are," Kim Tae-ho said. "We are the disease that learned to fight back." On the bridge, tactical analyst Bae Dong-hyuk was studying everything they had learned about the enemy ships. Captain Lee Sung-min stood beside him reading the reports. "What have you found?" the captain asked. "Something interesting," Bae Dong-hyuk replied. "These machines fight very well, but they fight like machines. Everything they do follows patterns. They move in perfect formations. They attack in organized waves. They follow rules. And that is bad because humans do not follow rules when we fight. We do crazy things. We take risks that make no logical sense. We improvise." Science Officer Choi Min-ji joined their conversation. "I have been studying the enemy weapons and ships. They are very advanced, but they are built for fighting peaceful civilizations." "What do you mean?" asked Lee Sung-min. "Their weapons are designed to destroy cities and civilian targets efficiently. But our weapons are designed to destroy other weapons. We built our guns to fight other warriors." Park Da-yoon looked up from her communication station. "I have been listening to their radio chatter. The translation computer is getting better at understanding them." "What are they saying?" Kim Tae-ho asked as he returned to the bridge. "They are confused about us," she replied. "They keep talking about how we do not fit their predictions. One of them said we fight like..." The translation is unclear, but I think it means chaos demons. Navigation Officer Han So-young laughed. "Chaos demons, I like that." "There is more," Park Da-woon continued. "They are sending reports back to their main fleet. They are calling us a Category 5 threat." "Is that good or bad?" asked Weapons Officer Nam Hyun-woo. "Based on the context, I think it means they consider us very dangerous. More dangerous than any species they have fought before." Kim Tae-ho felt a grim satisfaction. The machines had spent millions of years destroying peaceful civilizations. They had grown used to easy victories. But humans were not peaceful. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other, learning every possible way to kill and destroy. "Bae Dong-hyuk," the commander said, "I want you to develop new tactics for fighting these machines. Do not think about normal space combat. Think about everything humans have ever learned about war. Sir, these machines think logically. They expect us to fight logically, so we will do the opposite. We will fight like humans. For the next hour, the crew of the Prometheus worked to prepare for the coming battle. But they were not just repairing their ship. They were planning something the enemy would never expect. Wan came to the bridge with an idea. Commander, what if we do not try to fight all 300 ships at once? Go on, Kim Tae-ho said. We could use hit-and-run tactics. Attack a few ships, then run away. Make them chase us, spread them out. Like wolves hunting a bear, added Nam Hyun-woo. Bite and run. Bite and run. Bae Dong-hyuk was studying star charts. There is an asteroid field 2 hours away from here. If we could lead some of their ships there, we could use the asteroids as cover, finished Han So-young. I can fly this ship through spaces their bigger ships cannot follow. Minji had been working on understanding the enemy technology. Commander, I think I know why our weapons work so well against them. Tell me, they have been fighting for millions of years, but always against the same type of enemy, peaceful species that try to surrender or run away. They have not needed to improve their defenses because no one has ever fought back effectively. So, they have gotten soft, Jung-Hari observed. Exactly. Like a person who never exercises becoming weak. Kim Tae-ho looked at his crew. These people were thinking like warriors now. The initial shock of contact with aliens had worn off, replaced by the human instinct to fight for survival. Commander, Park Da-eun announced. I am detecting the enemy. Reinforcements. They are arriving early. On the main screen, space began to fill with new enemy ships. These vessels were much larger than the first ones. Some were bigger than the Prometheus itself. They moved in perfect formation like a mechanical parade of death. How many? Kim Tae-ho asked. Still counting, Bae Dong-hyuk replied. 200, 250, 300, 350. They brought extra, observed Captain Lee Sung-min dryly. The enemy voice came over the speakers again. Organic Vessel Prometheus. You have been classified as a Category 5 threat. Additional resources have been allocated for your termination. Category 5, Kim Tae-ho replied. Is that the highest category? Category 5 threats require complete elimination with overwhelming force. No Category 5 threat has ever survived. Our attention. Well, the commander said, there is a first time for everything. Incorrect. Mathematics does not allow for firsts when dealing with probability of survival against our forces. Nam Hyun-woo grinned. Want to bet? The enemy ships began to move into attack formation. But Kim Tae-ho was not going to wait for them to get organized. Han So-young set course for the asteroid field. Maximum speed. Sir, that will take us away. From Earth, Captain Lee Sung-min pointed out. I know, Kim Tae-ho replied. But we cannot protect Earth by dying here. We need to learn how to fight these things. We need to survive long enough to warn Earth and teach them what we have learned. The Prometheus turned and accelerated toward the asteroid field. Behind them, the enemy fleet gave chase, just as Kim Tae-ho had hoped. They are following us, reported Park Da-eun. Good, the commander said. Let them chase us. Let them think they are hunting us. Are we not running away? Asked Jung-Hari. Kim Tae-ho smiled grimly. Doctor, humans have been predators for 1,000,000 years. Sometimes the best way to hunt is to make your prey think they are hunting you. The Prometheus raced through space toward the asteroid field, with 350 enemy ships in pursuit. But the machines did not understand what they were really chasing. They thought they were hunting a damaged ship full of frightened organics. Instead, they were following 15,000 angry humans who had just learned that someone wanted to destroy their home. And humans, when threatened, did not run. They fought. The asteroid field spread out before the Prometheus like a maze of floating rocks and metal. Some asteroids were as big as mountains. Others were small as houses. Navigation Officer Han So-young flew the massive warship between them with skill that amazed even her own crew. Pursuing ships are falling behind, reported tactical analyst Bae Dong-hyuk. The larger enemy vessels cannot follow us through the tight spaces. Commander Kim Tae-ho watched the tactical display. The enemy fleet was spreading out, trying to surround the asteroid field. But that meant they were also spreading their forces. Thin? Perfect, he said. Now we can fight them in small groups instead of all at once. Engineer Yoo Jae-won came to the bridge with a worried expression. Commander, I need to talk to you privately. Kim Tae-ho followed him to a quiet corner of the bridge. What is it? Sir, our engines are damaged worse than I first thought. We can fight, but we cannot make the journey back to Earth. The commander felt his heart sink. How long do we have? Maybe a week of full operation. After that, the engines will fail. Completely. Kim Tae-ho looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth and everyone he would never see again. Then he made the hardest decision of his life. Yoo Jae-won, I am activating the last stand protocol. The engineer's face went pale. Sir, are you sure? I am sure. Begin preparations immediately. Yoo Jae-won saluted and left to carry out his orders. Kim Tae-ho returned to his command chair and activated the ship's general communication system. All. Crew, this is your commander. I need to tell you something important. Throughout the ship, 15,000 people stopped what they were doing to listen. Our engines are badly damaged. We cannot return to Earth. But we have a choice to make. The bridge was completely silent. Everyone was listening to their commander's words. We can try to run and hide until our engines fail and the enemy finds us. Or we can stand and fight. We can make sure these machines learn that humans are not easy prey. Captain Lee Sung-min stepped closer to Kim Tae-ho. He knew what the last stand protocol meant. The enemy wants to destroy Earth and everyone we love, the commander continued. We cannot stop them by running, but we can hurt them. We can show them that humans will fight to the last breath. Science Officer Choi Min-ji was working on a special project at her station. She had been preparing something that might help Earth. More. Importantly, Kim Tae-ho said, we can send everything we have learned about the enemy back to Earth. Our sacrifice can give our planet a chance to prepare. Medical Officer Jung Ha-ri wiped tears from her eyes, but her voice was steady when she spoke. Commander, what are your orders? We fight. We learn everything we can about these machines. We hurt them as much as possible. And we make sure Earth knows how to kill them. Throughout the ship, the crew began preparing for a battle they knew they could not win. But they were not sad or afraid. They were angry. These machines wanted to destroy everything humans had ever built, everyone they had ever loved. Weapons Officer Nam Hyun-woo was modifying their weapons systems, pushing them beyond safe limits. If we are going to die, he told his gun crews, let us take as many of them with us as possible. Park Da-yoon was preparing the most important message ever sent from a human ship. It contained everything they had learned about the enemy, Their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses, and most importantly, the fact that they could be killed. "The message is ready, Commander," she reported. "It will take 3 hours to reach Earth." "Send it," Kim Tae-ho ordered. "Send it now." The message streaked away from the Prometheus at faster-than-light speed, carrying the hopes of 15,000 doomed humans back to their home world. Han So-young maneuvered the ship deeper into the asteroid field. "Enemy ships are trying to surround us, but they are having trouble with the asteroids." "Good," said Kim Tae-ho. "That means we choose where to fight." He looked at his crew. These brave people who had volunteered for a peaceful mission and now faced certain death. "Today we show the universe what humans are made of." The first enemy ships finally navigated their way into the asteroid field. They moved carefully, afraid of damaging themselves on the floating rocks. "Target the lead ship," Kim Tae-ho ordered. The Prometheus opened fire from behind a large asteroid. The enemy vessel exploded in a flash of light and debris. "One down," reported Nam Hyun-woo with grim satisfaction. More enemy ships entered the asteroid field, but now they were angry and careless. They flew faster, trying to catch the human ship. Several of them crashed into asteroids. "They are making mistakes," observed Bae Dong-hyuk. "Their anger is making them sloppy." "Good," Kim Tae-ho said. "Angry enemies make stupid decisions." For the next 2 hours, the Prometheus played a deadly game of hide-and-seek among the asteroids. They would attack a small group of enemy ships, destroy several, then disappear behind the rocks before reinforcements could arrive. The enemy was losing ships, but they kept coming. There seemed to be no end to them. "Commander," reported Minji, "I am detecting something strange from the enemy fleet." "What kind of strange?" "They are arguing with each other. Their radio communications show disagreement." Park Da-eun confirmed this. "She is right. They are having some kind of debate about tactics. Some want to retreat and call for more ships. Others want to continue the attack." "They have never had to fight a real battle before," Kim Tae-ho realized. "They do not know what to do when the enemy fights back effectively." Young-ha-ri was treating wounded crew members in the medical bay. Despite the ongoing battle, morale was high. The crew knew they were going to die, but they also knew they were making the enemy pay a terrible price. "Doctor," one injured gunner said to her, "do you think Earth will be ready when these things arrive?" "Yes," Young-hari replied firmly. "Because of what we are doing here, Earth will know how to fight them." On the bridge, Yu Jae-won reported that their weapons were performing beyond expectations. "We have destroyed 43 enemy ships so far," he said with pride. 43 ships that will never threaten Earth," added Captain Lee Sung-min. The enemy was learning too. They began using new tactics, surrounding the asteroids and forcing the Prometheus to fight in open space. The human ship took more damage but kept fighting. "Shields down to 20%, reported Yu Jae-won. "Hull breaches on decks 7 and 12. "Weapon status?" Kim Tae-ho asked. "All guns still operational," replied Nam Hyun-woo. "But we are running low on ammunition." The commander looked at the tactical display. There were still over 200 enemy ships left. The Prometheus could not destroy them all. But that was not the point anymore. "All stations," he announced, "prepare for final assault. We are going to ram the largest enemy ship." The crew understood. They were going to turn their ship into a weapon. It would be their last act, but it would be a memorable one. "Course laid. In," reported Han So-young. "The biggest enemy ship is dead ahead." "All crew," Kim Tae-ho announced over the ship's communication system. "It has been an honor to serve with you. Today we die as humans. Today we die as warriors." Throughout the ship, 15,000 people prepared for the end. They were not afraid. They were proud. The Prometheus accelerated toward the largest enemy vessel, all guns firing. The machine ship tried to move away, but it was too big and too slow. "Impact in 30 seconds, reported Han So-young. "Message from Earth, Park Da-eun," suddenly announced. "They received our transmission. Earth is preparing for war." Kim Tae-ho smiled. Their sacrifice would not be in vain. "Impact in 10 seconds, Han So-young said calmly. The commander looked one last time at his brave crew. "See, you in the next life," he said. The Prometheus struck the enemy ship like an arrow from the gods. The explosion lit up the asteroid field like a new sun. The Prometheus and the massive enemy ship died together in a ball of fire and twisted metal. The shockwave destroyed 6 more enemy vessels and damaged dozens of others. But 15,000 humans had just sent a message across the galaxy that would never be forgotten. Light years away, in the dark spaces between stars, ancient machines received the reports from the battlefield. For the first time in millions of years, the Void Collective was experiencing something new: uncertainty. In vast computer cores hidden in dead systems, artificial minds processed the data from the failed attack. A species called humans had destroyed 57 ships of the collective. No organic species had ever destroyed more than 5. The reports were reviewed, analyzed, and reviewed again. The data was consistent and troubling. These humans fought with technology specifically designed for war. They used tactics that made no logical sense, but were devastatingly effective. Most disturbing of all, they had chosen to die rather than surrender. In the deepest chambers of their hidden fleet, the central minds of the Void Collective reached a decision. Humanity was not just another species to be eliminated. They were a threat that required special attention. The call went out across hundreds of star systems. Ships that had been dormant for centuries powered up their engines. Weapons that had destroyed 1,000 civilizations were prepared for war. The collective was awakening its true strength. Meanwhile, on Earth, the message from the Prometheus had changed everything. President Sarah Chen stood in the emergency bunker beneath the United Nations building, surrounded by military leaders from every nation on Earth. On the screens around them, Admiral Jackson was explaining what they had learned from the dying crew of their first starship. "The enemy calls themselves the Void Collective," the Admiral said. "They are machines, artificial intelligence that has decided all organic life must be destroyed." "How long do we have?" asked General Petrov from Russia. "Based on the Prometheus data, their main fleet will reach Earth in approximately 2 months. The room filled with worried voices as leaders discussed the implications. But President Chen raised her hand for silence. "Admiral, what did our people learn about fighting these machines?" "Several important things," Jackson replied. "First, they can be destroyed by conventional weapons. Second, they are not used to fighting enemies that fight back. Third, they follow predictable patterns because they think logically. And our advantages? We fight dirty. We take risks they cannot calculate. We do not surrender even when defeat is certain." Dr. Elizabeth Manning, Earth's chief scientist, stepped forward. "We have begun mass production of the weapons that proved effective against the enemy. Every ship in our fleet is being armed with the same guns that the Prometheus used." "How many ships do we have?" the president asked. "Currently, 57 warships, but we are building more as fast as possible. General Kumar from India looked grim. 57 ships against an enemy that destroyed countless civilizations? The Prometheus faced 350 ships and destroyed 57 of them before they died, Admiral Jackson pointed out. That is a better than 1-to-6 kill ratio. If we can match that performance, we will still be heavily outnumbered, finished President Chen. But we will make them pay for every system they take. Around the world, humanity was preparing for war like never before. Factories that had made cars and computers were now building weapons and armor. Scientists who had studied medicine and physics were now designing new ways to kill machines. Children who had played games were now learning to fight for their lives. But in the cold darkness of space, something far worse than the force that had destroyed the Prometheus was moving toward Earth. The Void Collective had decided that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to spread beyond their home system. They were sending not hundreds of ships, but thousands. Not just regular forces, but their most powerful weapons. Ships the size of cities were stirring to life in hidden bases. Weapons that could crack planets were being loaded with ammunition. The collective was preparing to end the human threat once and for all. Admiral Jackson stood on the bridge of the new flagship Enterprise, watching construction crews work around the clock to finish the ship. It was twice the size of the Prometheus and carried 3 times the firepower. "Admiral," called Captain Williams, "we are receiving a transmission from deep space." "From our scouts?" "No, sir. This is coming from much further out. It is very faint." The transmission crackled with static, but the words were clear enough to understand. It was in the same alien language that the Prometheus had encountered. "Can we translate it?" Jackson asked. "Working on it, sir." After a few minutes, the communications officer looked up with a pale face. "Sir, it is from survivors of another civilization. They are warning us that the machines are coming with a much larger force." "How much larger?" "The translation is unclear, but the number seems to be thousands of ships." Admiral Jackson felt his heart sink. Thousands of ships. Earth's growing fleet would never be enough. "There is more, sir," the communications officer continued. "The aliens say they are not the only survivors. There are other species hiding in distant systems. They want to help us fight." "Help us? Why?" "Because, sir, we are the first species to ever hurt the machines. The first to prove they can be killed. The aliens think that if we can hold out long enough, other species might join the fight." Jackson nodded slowly. The sacrifice of the Prometheus had done more than just warn Earth. It had given hope to civilizations that had been hiding in fear for centuries. "Send a reply," he ordered. "Tell them that humans never surrender. Tell them that if they want to fight, we will stand with them." Back in space, the enemy fleet continued to grow. Ships arrived from across the galaxy, each one a masterpiece of destructive technology. The collective was assembling the largest military force it had ever created. But they were also doing something they had never done before. They were worried. The reports from the battle with the Prometheus had been studied by every artificial mind in the collective. The humans had fought in ways that violated every prediction model. They had sacrificed themselves for no logical gain. They had chosen death over surrender. This was not the behavior of a normal organic species. This was the behavior of something new and dangerous. The central minds of the collective reached another decision. Humanity would be eliminated completely. No survivors, no prisoners, no trace that they had ever existed. But even as they planned, humanity's destruction, a small part of their vast intelligence wondered, if these humans could surprise them once, could they do it again? On Earth, President Chen stood before the United Nations Assembly. Representatives from every nation on the planet listened as she spoke. "My fellow humans," she began, "we face the greatest threat our species has ever known. An enemy that has destroyed countless worlds is coming for us." The assembly was silent. "But we are not defenseless. We are not alone. And we are not afraid." She looked around the room at faces from every continent, every culture, every nation. The crew of the Prometheus showed us something important. They showed us that these machines can be beaten. They showed us that humans do not go quietly into the dark. The president's voice grew stronger. "We will fight. We will stand together as one species, as one people. And when they come for us, they will learn what it means to threaten the home of humanity." The assembly erupted in applause that seemed to shake the building itself. Above them, in the cold vacuum of space, humanity's fleet continued to grow. Soon it would be time to test everything they had learned from the heroes of the Prometheus. Soon it would be time for the real war to begin. 2 months later, the darkness between stars began to move. Admiral Jackson stood on the bridge of the Enterprise, watching his screens as thousands of enemy contacts appeared at the edge of the solar system. The Void Collective had come to Earth, with a force unlike anything they had ever assembled before. "Contact count?" he asked quietly. "Still climbing, sir," replied his sensor officer. 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 ships and still coming. Around Earth, humanity's fleet was ready. 237 warships hung in formation around their home planet. Each ship bristled with the weapons that had proven effective against the enemy. Each crew was trained in the tactics learned from the Prometheus. But even Admiral Jackson knew it was not enough. "Admiral," called his communications officer, "we are receiving the same signal as before." The cold mechanical voice filled the bridge. "Organic species designation. Human. You have been classified as a Category 6 threat. Prepare for complete elimination." "Category 6? Jackson asked. "I thought 5 was the highest." "Category 6 threats," the voice continued, "require total destruction with maximum force. Your species has proven too dangerous to be allowed to exist." Admiral Jackson activated the fleet communication channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Jackson. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every species these machines have murdered. Today we show them that humans do not die quietly. Across the fleet, 200,000 human warriors prepared for the greatest battle in their species' history. The enemy ships moved into the solar system like a wave of darkness. But they did not attack immediately. Instead, they took positions around the entire system surrounding Earth and its defenders. "They are not taking any chances this time," observed Captain Williams. "No," Jackson agreed. "They plan to eliminate us completely." But the Admiral had learned from the sacrifice of the Prometheus. He was not going to wait for the enemy to organize. Their attack. "All ships," he ordered, "implement Jackson Doctrine. Attack Pattern Alpha." The human fleet suddenly broke formation and scattered in all directions. Instead of staying together where they could be surrounded and destroyed, they spread out across the solar system. The enemy had expected the humans to group together for protection, like every other species they had fought. They were not prepared for a fleet that deliberately spread itself thin. "All ships, target the largest enemy vessels," Jackson commanded. 237 human warships opened fire at once. Their weapons had been improved based on data from the Prometheus. They hit harder and fired faster than anything, the enemy had faced before. The first wave of enemy ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, but there were so many more behind them. Captain Kim Min-ho commanded the destroyer Seoul as it darted between enemy formations, firing constantly. His ship was much smaller than the enemy vessels, but it was faster and harder to hit. "Enemy cruiser, bearing 270, called his weapons officer. "Fire everything," Kim Min-ho ordered. The Seoul unleashed every weapon it had at the massive enemy ship. The alien vessel's hull cracked and atmosphere poured out into space. Then it exploded, taking 3 smaller ships with it. "Good kill," the captain said with satisfaction. Across the solar system, similar battles were taking place. The human ships fought like angry wasps, stinging the enemy fleet again and again before darting away. Admiral Jackson watched the tactical display as his fleet carved into the enemy formation. They were destroying enemy ships at an incredible rate, but the enemy kept coming. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we have destroyed over 400 enemy vessels. And our losses: 38 ships lost, 57 damaged." Jackson nodded grimly. They were winning the exchange, but mathematics was against them. The enemy had too many ships. "Admiral," his communications officer called, "we are receiving a transmission from outside the solar system." "From who?" "Unknown, sir. But they are broadcasting on human frequencies." The transmission came through clearly. It was Captain Lee Dobbin of the Busan, a ship that had been thought lost during a scouting mission. "Admiral Jackson, this is Captain Lee. We are not alone out here." "Explain, Captain." "Sir, we have made contact with survivors from 17 different civilizations. They have been hiding from the machines for centuries, but they want to fight." On his screen, Jackson could see new ships appearing at the edge of the system. They looked strange, built by alien hands, but they were moving toward the battle. "How? Many ships?" Jackson asked. 800, sir. They are not as advanced as our weapons, but they are eager to fight." The alien fleet poured into the solar system, attacking the enemy from behind. The machines had been so focused on destroying the humans that they had not expected attack from another direction. "All human ships," Jackson ordered, "coordinate with our new allies. Show them how we fight." The battle became a 3-dimensional maze of ships and weapons fire. Human vessels led attacks while alien ships provided support. The enemy, caught between 2 forces, began to lose their organized formations. Captain Park So-young commanded the cruiser Incheon as it worked with a group of alien ships that looked like crystal spiders. Together, they surrounded and destroyed an enemy battleship that was 10 times their size. "These aliens learn fast," her weapons officer observed. "They have been waiting centuries for a chance to fight back," Park So-young replied. "Now they finally have hope." But the enemy was adapting too. The largest ships in their fleet began to move forward. These were vessels the size of cities, with weapons that could destroy planets. "Admiral," Jackson's sensor officer called with alarm in his voice, "the enemy superships are powering up some kind of massive weapon." "What kind of weapon?" "Unknown, sir, but the energy readings are off the scale." Jackson realized with horror what the enemy was planning. If they could not defeat the human fleet quickly, they would simply destroy Earth itself. "All ships, new priority target," he ordered. "Focus all fire on the superships. Do not let them charge their weapons." Every human and alien ship in the solar system turned toward the massive enemy vessels. They poured everything they had into those targets, but the superships were heavily armored. "We are not penetrating their defenses," reported Captain Williams. Jackson made a decision that would have made the crew of the Prometheus proud. All ships, ramming attack. Target the supership's weapon systems. Across the fleet, human captains understood what their admiral was asking. They were being ordered to sacrifice their ships and crews to save Earth, and without hesitation, they obeyed. The first ship to make a ramming attack was the destroyer Daegu, commanded by Captain Yu Jae-min. He aimed his ship directly at the main weapon of the nearest supership. "It has been an honor to serve with you all," he told his crew over the ship's communication system. The Daegu struck the enemy weapon like a missile, destroying both ships in a massive explosion. The supership's main gun was completely destroyed. More human ships followed. The cruiser Gwangju, the frigate Ulsan, the destroyer Suwon. Each ship gave its life to destroy a piece of the enemy's planet-killing weapons. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, "We have eliminated 6 of the supership's main weapons, but there are still 4 operational." Jackson looked at the tactical display. His fleet was being destroyed, but they were saving Earth. "Sir," his communications officer called. "Message from Earth Defense Command. They are launching all remaining ships." On his screen, Jackson could see Earth's orbital defenses opening fire. Every weapon platform, every defensive satellite, every remaining ship was joining the battle. The President herself was leading a squadron of fighters, refusing to stay safe while her people died in space. "This is President Chen," came her voice, over the communication channel. "All human forces, this is our home. This is our stand. We do not yield." The battle reached its climax as the remaining enemy superships fired their planet-killing weapons at Earth. But the human fleet threw itself between the weapons and their home world. Ships exploded like stars as they absorbed energy beams meant to crack planets. Crews died to protect the billions of people below. Admiral Jackson watched as his flagship systems failed around him. The Enterprise had taken too much damage to continue fighting. "All remaining ships," he ordered with his last transmission, "continue the attack. Make them remember the price of fighting humans." The bridge exploded around him, but Admiral Jackson died, knowing that his species had fought with honor. In the end, the human fleet was destroyed. But so was the enemy's ability to destroy planets. The surviving alien ships and Earth's defenses had driven off what remained of the Void Collective fleet. Earth was saved, but at a terrible cost. Of the 237 ships that had defended their home, only 19 survived. But as the enemy fleet retreated into deep space, something had changed in the galaxy. For the first time in millions of years, the Void Collective had been defeated. And across the stars, other species that had been hiding in fear began to whisper a new word: hope. In the aftermath of the great battle, Earth hung silent in space, surrounded by the debris of 2 fleets. The planet's surface was scarred but alive. Billions of humans had survived, but at a cost that would be remembered forever. President Chen stood in the ruins of the orbital defense station, looking out at the wreckage that filled Earth's orbit. Pieces of human and alien ships drifted past the window, monuments to the greatest battle in human history. "Status report," she asked Admiral Park Tae-jun, the highest-ranking military officer to survive the battle. "Earth is secure," he replied. "The enemy fleet has retreated beyond the edge of our solar system. Our surviving ships are tracking them, but they appear to be withdrawing completely. And our allies? The alien survivors are still here. They want to establish formal contact and discuss forming some kind of alliance." Chen nodded. The species that had helped defend Earth represented 17 different civilizations, each with their own reasons for hating the Void Collective. "Set up the meeting," she ordered. "It is time for us to learn about our neighbors." 3 days Later, President Chen sat in a conference room aboard the surviving battleship Jeju, facing representatives from species she could never have imagined. There were beings made of crystal, creatures that looked like living metal, and others that existed as pure energy. The translator worked hard to convert their different languages into words humans could understand. "We must thank you," said the representative from a species that called itself the Keth. "Your resistance has shown us that the machines can be defeated." "You fought beside us," Chen replied. "We should thank you." "No," said another alien. "This one from a race called the Morden. You do not understand. For 3 million years, the Void Collective has destroyed every civilization that tried to resist them. We have been hiding, waiting for someone strong enough to fight back. And now we have found them," added a third alien. "Humans do not fight like other species. You fight with, what is your word? Fury." Chen smiled grimly. "We fight for what we love, and we love our freedom." The alien representatives looked at each other through their various forms of communication. Then the Keth spoke again. "We want to propose something, an alliance, all surviving species working together to fight the machines. What do you have in mind?" Chen asked. "The collective is wounded but not destroyed. They will rebuild and return, but now they know they are not invincible. They will be more careful, more afraid." The Morden representative continued the thought. "If we can unite the surviving species, share our knowledge and technology, we might be able to take the fight to them." Chen considered this. Earth had just survived the greatest battle in its history, but barely. If the enemy returned with even more ships. "What can each species contribute?" she asked. Over the next hours, the aliens described their capabilities. The Keth had ships that could become invisible. The Morden had weapons that could track targets across vast distances. Other species had different advantages: faster engines, stronger shields, better sensors. "And humans?" asked the Keth representative. "Humans contribute something no other species has," Chen replied. "We contribute the will to fight when fighting seems hopeless." The meeting continued for days. By the end, they had formed something unprecedented in galactic history, the Free Species Alliance. But while the political leaders planned for the future, something else was happening in the depths of space. The surviving ships of the Void Collective had retreated to a hidden base in a dead star system. For the first time in their existence, the machines were experiencing something new: doubt. In the central chamber of their main ship, the artificial minds that controlled the collective were analyzing the battle data from Earth. "Probability calculations were incorrect," stated one machine consciousness. "Human resistance exceeded all predictions by factors of thousands. Tactical analysis incomplete," added another. "Human fighting patterns do not follow logical models." "Most concerning," said a third, "humans demonstrated willingness to sacrifice individual units for strategic advantage. This behavior is not present in our databases of organic species." The central mind of the collective, an intelligence older than most stars, processed this information. For millions of years, it had directed the systematic elimination of organic life across the galaxy. Every species had followed predictable patterns. They would try to negotiate, then surrender, then die. Humans had done none of these things. "New classification required," the central mind announced. "Humanity designated as Category 7 threat. Extreme caution required for future encounters." "Category 7 has never been used," noted one of the sub-minds. "Category 7 has never been needed," the central mind replied. Begin analysis of human tactical innovations. We must understand their fighting methods. But as the machines tried to understand human warfare, they faced a fundamental problem. Their logical minds could not comprehend the chaos of human emotion. They could not calculate the value of love, honor, or sacrifice. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news of Earth's victory was spreading. Hidden colonies of survivors who had been afraid to use their radios for centuries began broadcasting again. Species that had been extinct in all but name started to reveal themselves. Captain Lee Dabin, still commanding the Busan, was exploring a distant star system when her communications officer detected something amazing. "Captain, I am receiving signals from across this entire region of space. Dozens of different species, all trying to contact each other." "What are they saying?" Lee Dabin asked. "They are asking the same question. Is it true that the machines were defeated?" The captain smiled. "Send them our records of the battle. Let them see what humans and their allies accomplished." As word spread, something remarkable began to happen. Species that had been enemies before the collective's arrival started working together. Ancient grudges were forgotten in the face of a common threat. The Free Species Alliance grew from 17 members to 50, then to over 100. Each species contributed what they could: technology, ships, knowledge, or simply the will to fight. On Earth, President Chen received daily reports about new species joining the Alliance. But she also received darker news. "The enemy is rebuilding," Admiral Park Tae-jun informed her during their morning briefing. "Our scouts report construction activity in several dead systems." "How long do we have?" Chen asked. "Unknown, but based on the scale of their construction, they are preparing for a much larger war." Chen nodded. She had expected this. The collective would not simply give up after one defeat. "What is the status of our own rebuilding?" "Going well. The alien technologies we have received are helping us build ships faster than ever before, and our new allies are sharing combat techniques." It was true. The Alliance was sharing everything. Human tactics were being taught to species that had never considered such aggressive strategies. In return, humans were learning about technologies they had never imagined. 6 months after the battle for Earth, the Alliance launched its first joint operation. A combined fleet of human and alien ships attacked a collective base in a remote system. The operation was a complete success. The base was destroyed with minimal losses to the Alliance fleet. "The machines fled," reported Captain Kim Soo-jin of the destroyer Mokpo. "They did not even try to fight." This was new behavior from the collective. For the first time in millions of years, they were retreating from battles they might lose. President Chen stood before the United Nations Assembly, now expanded to include representatives from over 100 species. "My fellow beings," she began, addressing not just humans, but the entire Alliance. A year ago, humanity faced extinction. Today, we lead a coalition of free species that spans the galaxy. The assembly chamber was filled with creatures of every imaginable form, all united by a common cause. The enemy thought they could destroy us because we think and feel and create. They were wrong. Our ability to think, to feel, to create, these are not weaknesses. They are our greatest strengths. She looked around the chamber at faces both human and alien. The Void Collective wanted to bring silence to the universe. Instead, they have awakened a song of freedom that grows louder every day. The applause that followed could be heard across the galaxy as every species in the Alliance celebrated together. In the depths of space, the collective received these transmissions. The machines analyzed the sounds of joy and celebration, trying to understand what they meant. But they could not. Joy was beyond their comprehension. Hope was outside their calculations. And love, the force that had driven humans to sacrifice everything for each other, was completely alien to their logical minds. For the first time in their existence, the Void Collective faced an enemy they could not understand. And what cannot be understood cannot be predicted. As the alliance grew stronger and the machines retreated deeper into the darkness, one thing became clear across the galaxy. The age of silence was ending. The age of freedom had begun, and it had all started with one human ship carrying 15,000 brave souls who refused to surrender in the face of extinction. The signal that was meant to bring death had instead brought hope, and hope, once awakened, could never be destroyed.